Hello, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to Accountants Minute. Accountants wanted could well be the headline coming from small, medium enterprise magazines at present all around Australia. Because hundreds, probably around 700 accountancy firms are going to be required to handle the volume of inquiries that many people expect to come from small, medium enterprises, inventors and entrepreneurs who are interested in understanding more about crowdsourced funding. This is a significant opportunity for around 700 accountancy businesses in Australia to get involved in a brand new industry, to create a new income stream in your firms. I've had some telephone calls from various people on various aspects of crowdsourced funding, so I thought I would share those questions with you and give you the answers that I've given to them. First question's been, where do I start? How do I create a new income stream? Well, it's going to require some marketing and promotion, because your clients don't know that you're interested in this whole new activity called crowdsourced funding. So the kit that we supply includes full marketing material, a letter to go to your clients, an article you could place on your website about crowdsourced funding, a seminar program or a webinar program that you could present to your clients, everything prepared, the handouts, the PowerPoint slides. All you have to do is to read the material and then deliver it. And we've also included the social media kit to assist you in placing articles on Facebook and LinkedIn. The second comment has been along the lines, I'm only a small firm. My response to that has been, so will be the majority of the companies who are looking for assistance. They feel an affinity with smaller accountancy businesses. But if you don't supply that service to them, they will feel obligated to go somewhere else. So the ball is in your court. These clients are going to require some real assistance in determining their eligibility. And remember, they can raise up to $5 million every 12 months from this market. The third question is built around, what's the level of disclosure? There is a high level of disclosure required if the company, a director, a manager or an officer has had previous problems with ASIC. If that has occurred, a full disclosure needs to be made in the CSF offer document. But if your clients had no problems with ASIC in the past, none of this is going to be applicable. So the level of disclosure in that case is fairly low. The next question relates to, who are the potential investors? Well, there's two main groups of investors. They are retail investors who are able to invest up to $10,000 in every 12-month period. There is a significant amount of investor protection incorporated into the legislation for this group of investors. And then there's also sophisticated or wholesale investors, and the definition of those categories is the same as what is contained in the remainder of the Corporations Act, because crowdsourced funding is basically a new part of the Corporations Act. The next question relates to, I've heard talk about intermediaries. Who are the intermediaries? Well, the government's been quite clever in how this legislation's been created. The intermediaries are businesses that have Australian financial services licences that have then got a further endorsement for crowdsourced funding. But under this legislation, they are the gatekeepers. So when the offer document is finalised, it is not taken to ASIC, it is taken to the selected intermediary for review, and possibly further work may be required if the intermediary wants further work done, and the intermediary then places that crowdsource funding offer document onto their platform, which is their website. Most of the companies that are going to be seeking advice on crowdsource funding are going to need an accountant's assistance, and probably a lawyer's also, in negotiating an appropriate agreement with an intermediary, because the legislation doesn't specify what charges an intermediary can make. All that the legislation says is that there has to be a full disclosure of the financial arrangements between the company seeking the funding and the intermediary in the crowdsource funding offer document. And then the big question, what's included in a crowdsource funding offer document? Now, the legislation stresses that these companies are not required to produce a prospectus, but they still produce a fairly in-depth document if they are going to be able to raise the money. And bear in mind, they can raise up to $5 million every 12 months. So I think you'd expect a fair amount of disclosure. So the first segment of disclosure is looking at who the company is, what's its history, who are the directors, managers and officers, what business activity is this company involved in. But then it needs additional information to outline the vision of the company. And to do this, in my opinion, the company will need to have prepared a series of other documents, including a market research document, a marketing plan, a intellectual property summary, what patents does the company own, what trademarks, what other intellectual property does the company own. The company will need a business plan looking at the vision for the next 3 years, backed up with a budget and a cash flow forecast looking at the financial side of that vision for the next 3 years. The companies are going to need an information memorandum because that's required under the Corporations Act. But the company will need to be valued because there needs to be a price determined for the shares that the new investors are going to be subscribing for. So there's a full package of services that are going to be required to be implemented within the crowdsource funding offer document. So this is very interesting work. It's exciting work. And many members of your accounting team are going to be very interested to get involved in this sort of work. Another question is, what other services are these companies going to be requiring? Well, when they've raised their money, they could end up with another 300, 400,000 shareholders. So they're going to need share registry services. Now, whether they try to do that in-house, or they ask your accountancy business whether you will do it, or whether you refer them to one of the professional share registry services, that's a decision to be made at that time. Many of these companies are going to be looking for accountants to be directors on their board of directors. These companies are all going to be unlisted public companies. They all require 3 directors. And surely one of those persons should be someone with financial management skills. And many of these companies will be appointing an auditor. Whilst the legislation says they don't have to for 5 years unless they have raised more than $1 million, many of them, for good accountability and corporate governance reasons, will be wanting to appoint an auditor at an early stage in their lives as unlisted public companies. So there's an opportunity if your firm does auditors. So what does the ESS BIZTOOLS equity raising package include? It includes a series of forms, templates, articles, a webinar, all to equip you to have all of the material that you need to be able to conduct these services with your clients to determine their eligibility for the crowdsource funding classification. And there's also a full series of marketing material that I referred to earlier. So what's it cost? Your investment for the crowdsource funding equity raising package is only $399, including GST. To obtain the product, all you need to do is to go to our website www.essbassett.com.au to subscribe. If you would like to access a special free article that we have produced on the roadmap to crowdsource funding, please go to our website and log on to receive that article, and we will send it to you. And we are presenting a special free webinar on Wednesday the 17th of May at 12:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, titled Introducing a CSF Service to Your Clients. I look forward to hearing from you as a subscriber, as a firm that's interested in obtaining the free article, or attending our free webinar so that you know more about crowdsource funding. I believe there will be around 10,000 Australian companies, entrepreneurs and inventors looking at crowdsource funding over the next 12 months. Now is a great opportunity for around 700 accountancy businesses in Australia to stake this as your territory. Remember, no one has got this as their territory at present. This is a great opportunity for you. So we look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day. Goodbye.